Good morning, Acadiana. Thanks for tuning in to the Friday edition of Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate and the Advocate News Organization, the Advocate newspaper, covering the news in the state of Louisiana. Their excellent writers and journalists report on all the things that are important in our local area. And we bring you the community service of providing an audio version of their printed news edition every weekday between 9 and 10 a.m. And it has been a long week this week for sure, as Bruce, our generous volunteer newsreader, Bruce Cohen, is laughing at me for muddling up my nine to somethings. Good morning, Bruce. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Always.
I mean, it would be very interesting. It sounded like 5, so it'd be very interesting to do a 9 to 5 broadcast.
Well, we haven't told you yet, but we're upping the hours, so it'll soon be a 9 to 5 news read. But no, for this morning, just 9 to 10 or as much as you need. It looked like it might actually be a somewhat light news week here locally, which honestly on a Friday is good for me. But Bruce, I'm going to let you take it away just in case I'm wrong.
Thank you, my main man, Matt. Say that 5 times real fast. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And good morning, Acadiana. It is Local News Live on this Friday, November 6, 2020. Just thinking about this year and what a year it's been. And most mornings that I read the news, it's somewhat on the dark side with the election still ballots being counted, and with all the COVID pandemic type news that I read about every day, hurricanes and so forth. I wanted to start off this morning's broadcast with a happy story or a light story or a silver lining story or a break in the cloud story, whatever you want to call it. But here we go. Lafayette man relearning to walk after mysterious strokes. Father doing therapy in Houston. Misses Daughters by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. High school sweethearts Abbott and Dylan DeBoss have done just about everything together for the past 11 years. So when Dylan DeBoss, 29, suffered 2 strokes in September, there was no question that Abbott DeBoss, 27, would be by his side through the recovery process as he relearned how to walk and eat. The only problem was their 8-year-old and 3-year-old daughters couldn't join them. We miss our kids, Abbott DeBoss said. We're just going day by day. Every day is a little different. It all started September 17th when Dylan DeBoss became dizzy and began vomiting at work. He asked his wife to pick him up from the Lafayette paint store he manages, and they went to an urgent care facility. He was diagnosed with vertigo. They returned home, relieved it wasn't something more serious. We thought that was that, Abbott DeBoss said. He's only 29. Obviously, the doctor didn't think it was a stroke. They were told to watch his symptoms and go to the hospital if they worsened. Within about a day, Dylan DeBoss appeared drunk, stumbling as he walked and slurring words when he talked. His wife rushed him to Ochsner Lafayette General Medical Center, and after a preliminary brain scan, a doctor told the couple that Dylan DeBoss had either suffered a stroke or had a brain tumor. They said it's probably a brain tumor because of his age, Abbott DeBoss said. An MRI will show damage consistent with an ischemic stroke affecting the left side of the cerebellum, the part of the brain responsible for voluntary movements on the left side of the body. That paired with blood clots in other parts of the brain would land him in the intensive care unit for close monitoring. After additional scans and labs, medical professionals could not determine what caused Dylan DeBoss's stroke. Still, he was doing well. He could eat a regular diet and was progressing with physical therapy. As he was preparing to transfer from ICU to a regular hospital room, Dylan DeBoss had another stroke. He had to be placed on emergency ventilation after losing the ability to protect his airway when eating and drinking. He was so conscious and aware that it almost made it worse, Abbott DeBoss said. They were having to lie him down to do it because he kept pulling it out. Dylan DeBoss would write tube out multiple times during the 8 days he was on the ventilator. His handwriting would improve a bit with each note, a sign of hope for his family. After 28 days at Lafayette General, 18 of those in the ICU, Dylan DeBoss would be transferred on October 16th to a rehabilitation hospital in Houston. The cause of the strokes would remain a mystery as Dylan DeBoss began therapy to relearn how to walk, dress, and swallow. It really was a big shock, Abbott DeBoss said. He's in really good shape. He works out every single day of the week. It was just a shock. A family member set up a GoFundMe page online that has raised more than $8,000 to help offset expenses for the DeBosses. Even with help from health insurance, the family has spent thousands of dollars out of pocket and expects to spend more, all while losing a portion of income from both of their jobs. Dylan DeBoss had lost about 50 pounds since going on a feeding tube. That alone has been a challenge for someone who took pride in working out and weightlifting. He's also been watching cooking programs on loop, saving recipes on his phone to try once he's able to eat again. We pretend that he's going to get steak or hamburger through the liquid food in the stomach, Abbott's boss said. He's slowly showing progress, but his medical team has pushed for him to be admitted into a post-acute inpatient rehabilitation center. The family recently received good news approval for the critical care from its health insurance company and expects to move to a new facility by the end of the week. Abbott DeBoss says she's encouraged friends, family, and even strangers to educate themselves on the signs of a stroke, no matter the age or fitness level of the person experiencing symptoms. It doesn't matter how old you are, Abbott DeBoss said. If you're presenting with the symptoms, eye issues, balance issues, nausea, vomiting, you might be having a stroke. So he's well on his way to recovery. If you are interested in helping out the DeBoss family, go to the GoFundMe page, look up the DeBosses or Abbott DeBoss or Dylan DeBoss, and contribute or donate whatever you can to help this family get through this struggle. But it looks like they're well on the way. And that's always good news. Okay, we have a couple of national news, of course. Presidential election is still hovering above us like a black cloud. But we do have some local news that I'd like to read to you this morning. Before we do that, let's get to this coronavirus phase 3 story that Governor Bill Edwards had a press conference that day. So let's read about what he is expecting the state to continue to do. Phase 3 coronavirus rules extended in Louisiana by Sam Carlin, staff writer. After a Baton Rouge judge declined to temporarily block Governor John Bel Edwards' coronavirus restrictions, the governor on Thursday said he will extend Louisiana's Phase 3 rules for another 4 weeks. All current restrictions, including the mask mandate, will remain in place until at least December 4th, Edwards said at a Thursday news conference. Far more damaging to our economy than maintaining the status quo going forward is to threaten the ability of our hospitals to deliver life-saving care and have to go backwards in terms of restrictions, Edwards said. The decision was not unexpected. Louisiana is not expected to move beyond Phase 3 until a vaccine is widely available. After a period of plateauing cases and hospitalizations, coronavirus trends are starting to rise slowly in Louisiana of late, though the state has not seen big increases like other Sunbelt states. Edwards and the state's top coronavirus response official, Dr. Joseph Cantor, pointed to data that shows the state is experiencing better coronavirus trends than much of the rest of the country. Once number one in the country in cases per capita, Louisiana has dropped to 6. Although hospitalizations are rising in some parts of the state, other metrics like cases and COVID-19-like illnesses are showing mostly positive signs. You can see we're doing better than the rest of the country and most of our neighbors right now. Edwards said now is exactly the wrong time to remove those restrictions and mitigation measures. Cantor said Louisiana has been holding the course as other states see record increases of cases and hospitalizations But he also pointed to recent upticks in hospitalizations, and he warned people not to lose vigilance. All the success we have is highly tenuous, he said. That's a relatively encouraging picture considering everything else that's going on in the country, but we're nowhere near out of the woods. The governor, a Democrat, announced the move as he remains locked in a power struggle with Republican state house members who late last month sent the governor a petition ordering him to end all of Louisiana's coronavirus rules for a week. That petition, using an obscure and never before used state law passed during the SARS pandemic, directs the governor to issue an emergency order ending the restrictions. That would mean Louisiana, which has long had an outsized number of cases and deaths compared with its population, would have no mask mandate, social distancing requirements in businesses, or limits on large gatherings. Attorney General Jeff Landry, a Republican who's defending the House in court, has filed his own suit asking the judge to compel Edwards to comply with the petition. He also asked Judge William Morvant to issue a temporary warning over preventing the governor from issuing no new coronavirus rules until he comes into compliance with the petition. The judge rejected that argument this week and set a November 12th a Zoom hearing in the case. Republican lawmakers, especially in the state house, have complained the governor hasn't loosened restrictions more. Particularly, many are seeking loosening rules on high school football game attendance, which Edwards partly acquiesced to last month by allowing up to 15% capacity at homes. The hearing next week will not be the first time Edwards has defended his coronavirus restrictions in court. He has won 3 other cases, one in state court and 2 in federal court, challenging the rules. A case over a Livingston Parish barbecue restaurant that has flouted his requirements is pending. And I guess before we move into more Acadiana news, we can read about what's happening with the presidential election 2020. But still counting ballots, folks. Presidential election up in the air as key states continue to tally ballots by Jonathan Lemire, Zeke Miller, and Will Weisert. This is an AP story out of Washington. Election officials and key battlegrounds press forward Thursday with presidential vote counting as Democratic Joe Biden urged patience and President Donald Trump pursued legal options with little success, insisting the processing of ballots should be stopped. The president spent Thursday at the White House working the phones and escalating efforts to sow doubt about the outcome of the race. In a series of tweets, he pushed baseless allegations of electoral misconduct and said the ongoing vote count of ballots submitted before and on election day should cease. Trump reiterated his claims Thursday night at the White House, his first public appearance since late on election night. This is a case where they are trying to steal an election. They are trying to rig an election, he said of Democrats, whom he accused of corruption while providing no evidence. Biden, meanwhile, sought to protect the appearance of a president, speaking briefly to reporters after attending a COVID-19 briefing on Thursday. He offered reassurance that the counting could be trusted and declared that each ballot must be counted. I ask everyone to stay calm. The process is working, said Biden. It is the will of the voters, not anyone else who chooses the president of the United States. No one, not anyone else who chooses the president of the United States of America. Trump's campaign engaged in a flurry of legal activity to try to improve the Republican president's chances, requesting a recount in Wisconsin and filing lawsuits in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia. Statewide, recounts in Wisconsin have historically changed the vote by only a few hundred votes. Biden led by more than 20,000 ballots out of nearly 3.3 million counted. Judges in Georgia and Michigan quickly dismissed Trump campaign lawsuits on Thursday. There was no obvious grounds for the Justice Department to attempt to intervene to stop a vote count at the state level, unless the federal government could somehow assert a violation of federal voting laws or the Constitution. The department could theoretically file a brief in support of a Trump campaign lawsuit if it believed there were federal concerns at stake, but that intervention would be extraordinary. Okay, well, let's move on to local news. Retail sales topped 600 million in September. Total a record for non-holiday month by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Retail sales in the Lafayette Parish area topped 600 million in September, the first time that's happened in a non-Christmas holiday month as the parish continues its recovery from the coronavirus shutdown earlier this year. Sales reached $602,103,003, the second highest monthly total on record dating back the past 20 years, as spending has inched closer to last year's totals and leapfrogged past 2018's totals, data from the Lafayette Economic Development Authority shows. The sales bump may also be related to the influx of Lake Charles area residents who moved to the Lafayette area after Hurricane Laura. Total sales are now at $4.64 billion for the year, less than 1% behind last year's total through September, but up 35% since April during the height of the shutdown. September 2020 is the first non-December month to reach at least 600 million in taxable sales in a single month, Lafayette Economic Development Authority President and CEO Greg Gothrow said. In fact, we have only seen monthly sales reach 600 million 3 other times since 1997. Our economy has been on steadily improvement as operating restrictions have been eased and people are returning to work. This is a trend local retailers and service providers want to see continued as we enter the holiday shopping season. Most municipalities reported increases in sales over the previous month and compared with last year. Lafayette had the biggest jump from the previous month, 420.4 million compared with 355.7 million in August and 371.8 million in September 2019. The city remains 3% behind last year's total for the year, but has surpassed the 2018 rate, data shows. Other data points in Lafayette include the pandemic-related surge in business at grocery stores slowed a bit to 25.7 million, down from the 28 million in August. It is still well ahead of the 21 million in sales a year ago and 14% ahead of last year's total. Restaurants continue to rebound as sales topped 33 million, second highest total since the pandemic began, and ahead of the 32.5 million a year ago. Sales remain 12% behind last year's total. Bars and nightclubs reported just under 2.5 million in sales, the highest in 3 months. Sales are 31% behind last year's totals. Apparel sales topped 16 million after dipping below 10 million in March through May. That's also ahead of the 50 million from a year ago. Feed store sales reached nearly 1.4 million, the highest mark in almost 2 years. And finally, hotel-motel receipts ballooned to nearly 7.5 million thanks to Hurricane Laura. It's the highest total since the 2016 flood. All right, let's take a little bit of a break from the news and talk about some public service announcements or PSAs. First of all, the Festival of Words is today and tomorrow. That's right, folks. Festival of Words, the virtual version, considering this is 2020, the virtual version of the Festival of Words will be held starting this evening, November 6th, and going through tomorrow, November 7th. The Festival of Words celebrates another year with 3 amazing authors and 2 days of memorable events. The festival will take place Friday and Saturday, November 6th and 7th, virtually. This year includes the nationally recognized authors, Louisiana poet laureate John Warner Smith, poet Erica Mittner, and graphic memoirist Robin Ha. Festival events include creative writing workshops for students in the community stage for open mic, and drive-by poetry with youth that give dramatic presentations of festival authors' writings. The Friday night event features a poetry presentation by John Warner Smith and Erica Mittner, and Robin Ha reads from her work, graphic memoir, Almost American Girl. On Saturday, drive-by poetry performers from the Magnet Academy of Cultural Arts in Opelousas will recite works by featured authors along with students from the Lafayette area. There will be an open mic and multiple creative writing workshops, which are open to the public. For more information, check out festivalwords.org or contact Martha Gardner at 337-804-2482 or fowmartha@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page, and I say we because, full disclosure, I am involved with the Festival Awards. I am currently the board president, and I am the drive-by poetry coordinator. So I am heavily involved in the festival. Besides the going to festivalwords.org, you can also go to our Facebook page, Festival Words Arts Collective. And on both sites, you should find links to all the Zoom cafes. We're having various Zoom cafes for each event. So please check that out. It's a wonderful literary festival, and it happens the first weekend of November every year. So please participate or just check us out. Get some wine and cheese or whatever and sit in front of your computer or phone or iPad or laptop and watch and enjoy the proceedings. Okay, getting back into the local news. UL to hold in-person graduation ceremony. Spring 2020 class will celebrate commencement. Staff report. University of Louisiana at Lafayette will hold an in-person commencement ceremony for spring 2020 graduates at 8 a.m. Saturday at MLT Moore Field at Russo Park. In May, the spring 2020 class was recognized during a virtual commencement celebration that was created because of bans on large gatherings as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. On Saturday, about 180 spring 2020 graduates will celebrate in the traditional manner at a live ceremony in full regalia among family and friends, said Dwayne Bowie, UL's Vice President for Enrollment Management. The university is grateful we will be able to celebrate the extraordinary achievements of spring 2020 graduates at traditional ceremonies. They completed their degree requirements while facing unprecedented challenges. It is a remarkable class, Bowie said. UL said the 2020 classes was also a record-setting class. The 1,905 degrees earned by spring 2020 graduates are the most for a single semester in university history. Safety will be a focus during the in-person ceremony Saturday, the university said. Seating for graduates and spectators will be arranged to ensure social distancing. Up to 4 family members or friends of graduates who have reserved tickets can attend the ceremony. Guests and graduates will be required to wear masks or face coverings. Sanitizing stations will be placed throughout the stadium. Motorists are asked to enter the MLT Moore Field at Russo Park parking lot via South College Road through Gate 1. The ceremony will be live streamed on the University of Louisiana at Lafayette Facebook page, the Kenji Jones Facebook page, and at vimeo.com/475-232973. Okay, let's read about the, we always try to read the crime blotter. We'll read that before we go into our half-hour mark. We're getting close to that, where we read the day in history, the zodiac or horoscope, and the funerals in the Kittyana area for today. So the crime blotter is put together by Advocate Staff Reports. First one is a 14-year-old killed in Church Point shooting. 18-year-old arrested in case, sheriff said. A 14-year-old boy is dead after being shot in Church Point on Tuesday, the Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office reported. The shooting happened about 7 p.m. near South McMillan and East eBay Streets in Church Point. Investigators determined 2 victims were shot multiple times by 2 assailants while walking, and the 14-year-old was struck, Acadia Parish Sheriff K.P. Gibson said in a statement. The Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office was asked to lead the investigation by city police, he said. The identity of the juvenile killed was not released by law enforcement Wednesday. Nicholas Ottawan of Church Point was arrested Wednesday on 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder and an aggravated criminal damage to property prior to notification of the 14-year-old's death. His bail has been initially set at $510,000. The release said Gibson confirmed one count of attempted second-degree murder will be amended to second-degree murder following the teenager's death. A second suspect, a juvenile, is being questioned in the case. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to call detectives at 337-788-8721 or Crime Stoppers of Acadia Parish at 337-789-8477. In another crime blotter story, family members have identified a missing child whose body was found near Laurelville on Monday. Quayon Charles, 15, was last seen leaving a family home in Baldwin on Friday. Family members had circulated a flyer on Facebook for a Thursday memorial being held to remember Quayon at 608 Martin Luther King Jr. Street in Baldwin. The memorial was scheduled to start at 6 p.m. The Aberry Parish Sheriff's Office said in a statement, a boy's body was found about 5 p.m. Monday in a rural area off Ed Broussard Road near the village of Laurelville. Sheriff's Office confirmed the boy had been reported missing to the Baldwin Police Department on October 30th, but did not release his name because of his status as a minor. Results of an autopsy are pending as the investigation continues, the release said. Anyone with information relative to this investigation is urged to contact Detective Jared Spurlock of the Aberry Sheriff's Parish Office, Bureau of Investigation at 337-369-3711. Continuing with the crime blotter news, a Ring man was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison for possession of child pornography on Wednesday. Joseph Emery Menard, 44, was sentenced to 30 years, followed by 15 years to supervised release after pleading guilty in May to a count of receiving child pornography. The charge stemmed from a December 2018 investigation and into allegations who have a history of child sex abuse was sexually abusing two pubescent children, a statement from the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Louisiana said. Investigators seized a computer while executing a search warrant on Menard's home and found 600 images of child pornography, including some of pubescent children that were downloaded from the internet November 6 through 12, 2018. Prosecutors said Menard knew the files contained child pornography when he downloaded them, the release said. In 2000, Menard pleaded guilty to 2 counts of molestation of a juvenile in the 15th Judicial District in Lafayette for sexually abusing a prepubescent child. He also pleaded guilty in 2004 for failure to register as a sex offender, and in 2015 for failure to record a change of address with local law enforcement court records show. Okay, it's 9:28, so let's go to our day in history, the zodiac or horoscope, and the funerals and getting on the area for today. Today is Friday, November 6th. It's the 311th day of 2020. There are potentially 55 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on November 6th, 1860, former Illinois Congressman Abraham Lincoln of the Republican Party was elected President of the United States as he defeated John Breckinridge, John Bell, and Stephen Douglas. On this date in 1854, America's March King, John Philip Sousa, was born in Washington, D.C. Also on this date in 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower won re-election, defeating Democrat Adlai E. Stevenson. In 1977, 39 people were killed when the Kelly Barnes Dam in Georgia burst, sending a wall of water through Tokyo Falls College. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan won re-election by a landslide over former Vice President Walter Mondale, the Democratic challenger. 1986, former Navy radio man John A. Walker Jr., the admitted head of a family spy ring, was sentenced in Baltimore to life imprisonment. Walker died in prison in 2014 at age 77. Excuse me, no more tea left, but just have to clear my voice. About 1/5 of the Universal Studios backlot in Southern California in 1990 was destroyed in an arson fire. In 1997, former President H.W. Bush opened his presidential library at Texas A&M University. Among the guests of honor was President Clinton, the man who sent him into retirement. In 2012, President Barack Obama was elected to a second term of office, defeating Republican challenger Mitt Romney. In 2014, the march towards same-sex marriage across the U.S. hit a roadblock when a federal appeals court upheld laws against the practice of 4 states, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee. A divided U.S. Supreme Court overturned the laws in June of 2015. In 2016, FBI Director James Comey abruptly announced that Democrat Hillary Clinton should not face criminal charges related to newly discovered emails from her tenure at the State Department. 10 years ago today, President Barack Obama opened his his 10-day Asia trip on a somber note in Mumbai, India, where he memorialized victims of devastating terror attacks 2 years earlier, declaring, "We'll never forget." 5 years ago, President Barack Obama said the proposed Keystone XL pipeline, declaring it would undercut U.S. efforts to clinch a global climate change deal at the center of his environmental legacy. President Donald Trump would reverse the Obama decision. 1 year ago, Democrats announced that they would launch public impeachment. Perhaps the following week, first to testify would be William Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine. In its latest step away from nuclear accord with world powers, Iran said it would start injecting uranium gas at midnight into 1,044 centrifuges at the underground Fordo facility. Today's birthdays: country singer Stonewall Jackson is 88 years old today. Singer P.J. Proby is 82. Actor Sally Field is 74 years old today. Singer Rory Block is 71. Great blues and rhythm and blues singer. Jazz musician Arturo Sandoval is 71. TV host Catherine Cryer is 66. News correspondent and former California First Lady Maria Shriver is 65. Actor Laurie Singer is 63. Actor Lance Curran is 60. Rock musician Paul Brindley of the Sundays is 57. Actor Brad Grunberg is 56. Actor Ethan Hawke is 50 years old today. Actor Thandie Newton is 48. Retired NBA star Lamar Odom is 41. And singer-songwriter Robert Ellis is 32. So I've been notified that my wonderful Matt, my tech man at hand, is going to take the Zodiac so that I can get some tea or water or whatever it is to clear my throat. Matt, take it away.
I got your back, Bruce. Go grab some tea, and I will take the Zodiac for now. All right, so your horoscope, or horoscope as Bruce would call it, or Zodiac for the day. Here it comes. Scorpio. If you were born October 24th through November 22nd, create an environment that is conducive to achieving your goals. Choosing a unique lifestyle will lead to personal growth, confidence, and success. Sagittarius, November 23rd through December 21st. If you were born in that time range, you're a Sagittarius. Home improvements look promising. Do as much of the work yourself as possible to avoid unnecessary costs. Sorry about that. Lost my place there. Unnecessary costs. Verify information before you make a decision to hire someone you shouldn't. Capricorn, if you were born December 22nd through January 19th. Easy does it. Don't feel that you must jump through hoops to appease someone. Concentrate on your objective, not on what others do or say. You'll gain the most if you implement the changes that suit your needs. Aquarius, born January 20th through February 19th. Take care of the documents before they expire. Look for alternative ways to budget for something you need or for changes you want to make. Romance and partnership look inviting. Pisces, February 20th through March 20th. Focus on creativity and innovative ideas. A chance to make extra cash is within reach. Team up with someone who shares your beliefs and has something to offer. Aries, if you were born March 21st through April 19th, that's me. Look for opportunities, send out your resume, and market your skills. Actions will speak louder than words. Physical activities will alleviate anxiety. Taurus, born April 20th through May 20th. Thwart outside interference before it has a chance to manifest. Take control and bring out the changes that you want to see happen. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Think more about what you want and what you can do. Distance yourself from people and practices that have let you down and focus on what's possible. Cancer, born June 21st through July 22nd, be reasonable. Stay focused and control your emotions. If you get into a battle over something you cannot change, you'll waste valuable time. Concentrate on what you can accomplish. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd, spend time on self-improvement, learning new skills and updating your image. Stop worrying so much about what others think and put your energy into reaching your goals. If you were born August 23rd through September 22nd, you're a Virgo, and here's the advice for you. Embrace change, set up new goals, and gather information to help you on your way. Don't give in to someone putting unreasonable demands on you. Make your plans your first priority. Libra, September 23rd through October 23rd birthdays. Don't get angry, get moving. Assess situations carefully. Arguing will be a waste of time. Progress will come from taking hold of a situation and dealing with matters constructively. And we'd like to remind you the horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. Bruce,
Yes,
were you able to get your tea, or are you back in the saddle?
I'm back in the saddle. My throat is cleared, and I just wanted to pipe up and let everybody know that I am a Virgo. So whatever advice was given, I probably won't look at it.
Well, all right, Bruce, thank you so much for reading the news. Again, I got your back. I'm listening, and thanks.
Thank you so much, Matt. We're going to continue with the funerals in the Kenneana area today. Joseph Broussard at Delhome Funeral Home, 200 Chief H. Fred Road in Maurice at 1 p.m. Myrtle Hebert, La Chapelle, Del Martin, and Castile and Lafayette at 3 p.m. And Kathleen Shirer, Master De La Rosa Catholic Church, 1230 South Carrollton Avenue in New Orleans at 11 a.m. Okay. Usually on Fridays, we have an entertainment story. If there is an entertainment story that's local to the area, we like to read about it. So we do have one today. It's entitled Cabby's Log. Artist turns 5 years of driving a taxi into a new quasi-memoir by John Wirch, contributing writer. Deej Leg's fourth book, and we all, if anybody is into the music scene in the Acadiana and Lafayette area, know Deej Leg. Deej Leg's fourth book, Cab Log, a diary of a cab driver, takes a deep dive into the undercarriage of a mid-sized southern city, detailing the 5 crazy years Leg drove a taxi cab in Lafayette. Being a rookie cabbie, Leg got the night shift. It's a zoo, Leg said, of that grinding 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift. It's a rite of passage because there's so much craziness, but I liked it. I'm a night owl. In addition to becoming an award-winning writer, Deej Leg composes cinematic acoustic country blues music in the guise of Brother Deej. In this unusual year, however, Cab Log is his major creative endeavor. The memoir recounts his cab passengers and entries running a few paragraphs to a few pages. Leg's brief but memorable cab encounters include the grieving parents of a serial killer victim, a gang of ex-holiness apostolistic Pentecostals, James Taylor's band, and a parade of prostitutes, people who use drugs, and knuckleheads. Cab Log arrives next week via the University of Louisiana Lafayette Press. Although Leg's options for publicizing the book are limited to the COVID-19 era, the Garden District book store will hold a virtual book release party at 6 p.m. Thursday, November 12th. Registration at gardendistrictbookshop.com is required to view the author's Zoom conversation with a fellow Lafayette writer, R. Reese Fuller. Legg-based cab log on the fare logs he kept for a city cab company from 2003 to 2008. He blogged contemporaneously about the experience, amassing 800 pages of source material. Using that as a first draft, Legg revised the book dozens of times, condensing voluminous writings into a quasi-memoir that's much less about him than the characters he met driving the cab. Legg took the cab driver job following the troubled tour that broke the back of his band, bad luck-plagued rock band, Santeria. He later recast himself in music as Brother Deej, but in 2003, he simply needed a job. From Ignition, Legg noted he'd write about the experience, he writes about everything. I debated with myself about pulling it into a more narrative format with more about my personal life, he said, but when I contrasted my life to the kookiness of the passengers, I just got in that way. Legg anticipated that he learned a lot about people. He also learned about himself. I love people and I want to feel connected to them, he said, but that's not always possible. It's a lot easier to be a Buddha on the mountain than a saint in the streets. Ain't that the truth? Burned out by 2008, Legg left cab driving. In 2009, he began recording songs for his first Brother Deej album, Folk Songs of the American Longhair. A month after the album's release in 2010, the producers of the reality TV series Deadliest Catch licensed one of its tracks, Hard Road to Hoe, to be the theme song for the spin-off series After the Catch. Legg caught another break while he was working full-time at a men's homeless shelter in Lafayette. Oscar-winning filmmaker Quentin Tarantino placed American Longhair song Too Old to Die Young in the neo-spaghetti western That's the movie Django Unchained. The movie soundtrack album earned a Grammy nomination, making Legg a Grammy nominee. Frankly, Tarantino said of the Folk Songs the American Longhair album, every track could have been in the movie, almost every song could have been a theme song. Until the coronavirus pandemic, Brother Deej and the Brethren toured the United States and Europe. This year wasn't going to be normal anyway, however, because Legg booked just a handful of festival dates in March and April. I got lucky because I blocked off the spring and summer of 2020 to make a new album and finish the book, he said. To be honest, I needed a break because the creative life in the Deep South is a hustle. When people ask me what I do, it's almost like I'm telling them I'm a cosmonaut. It's a cute hobby to them rather than a serious endeavor. But until you've got skin in the game and blood on the line, you don't understand. I treat this like a job. I'm dedicated to it. All right, way to go, Brother Deej. Okay, so let's get back into some retail stories or brief some staff and wire reports. Lamar Advertising had net income of $62.8 million during the third quarter, was 62 cents per share compared with $99.7 million or 99 cents per share a year ago. The Baton Rouge-based company, which sells billboard and digital ad space, saw its net revenue decline over the year to $386.1 million from $457.8 million. Its operating expenses also declined by $35.6 million overall to $105.9 million. The coronavirus pandemic has dug into advertising demand among Lamar's business customers and reduced its workforce by 5% this year through attrition and layoffs. However, the company has seen some recovery of advertising dollars since the second quarter with the face and reopening of the economies around the country, and also from election year political dollars, said CEO Sean Riley. Adjusted funds from operations during the third quarter was $133.4 million, down from $163 million during the same time frame last year. Lamar operates as a real estate investment trust. Adjusted funds from operations is a closely watched measure in the REIT industry. Southern Chem formed sanitizer subsidy. Southern Chem Industries in Reserve, which traditionally serves the industrial sector, has launched a subsidiary producing sanitizer products for the retail, food, commercial, and healthcare sectors. We see a huge void in this space, and Michael Levine, president of the subsidiary Moonlight LLC. Southern Chem Industries is a family-owned and operated company founded in 1971 in Laplace, supplying cleaning products and services to industrial facilities along the Mississippi River Industrial Corridor and throughout the United States and the Southeast, with products and services to the oil exploration, refining, petrochemical, transportation, maritime, and Louisiana sugar industries. After the coronavirus pandemic triggered a shortage of sanitizer supplies in April, Southern Chem started making hand sanitizer and then found Moonlight. Its portfolio includes a cleaning disinfectant category with various products in both spray and wipes, and also liquids, gels, and soaps. Shell to shut our Convent refinery, hundreds of jobs lost by Kristen Mossbrucker, staff writer. After failing to find a buyer for its refinery in Convent, Shell is shutting down the plant, which employs 700 company workers and 400 contract workers. The shutdown process is expected to begin in mid-November and run through the end of the year as the company consolidates its international oil refining portfolio from 14 sites to only 6 by 2025. To free up some jobs for those displaced by the Convent shutdown, Shell is offering a selective voluntary severance program for workers at its Norco refinery near New Orleans. Shell also operates a chemical plant in Gizmar, where some workers could land. Others without jobs will get help finding employment with other companies, Shell said. Shell will continue trying to sell the idled refinery, which sits midway between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, straddling Ascension and St. James parishes, and can produce 240,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Despite efforts to sell the asset, a viable buyer was never identified, said Curtis Smith, spokesperson for Shell. After looking at all aspects of our business, including financial performances, we made the difficult decision to shut down the site. After the shutdown process is complete, we will continue to market the Convent refinery for divestment, Smith said. It hasn't been profitable in the last several years, is what I was told. The U.S. oil and gas industry has struggled in recent years with low oil prices pushing down profits. The refining business in particular was hit hard during the coronavirus pandemic, with airline travel coming to a near halt and people working remotely from home rather than commuting to the jobs or being furloughed or laid off from work. Okay, let's see, we did that. All right, looks like, let me just check the news here, folks, make sure we got everything. Yeah, looks like we're into our sports news. Exactly how dangerous and unemployment is Arkansas State for the Cajuns? Timeout by Kevin Foote. In many ways, the UL coach Billy Napier's introductory comments about Saturday's opponent, Arkansas State, were very similar to his description of Texas State the week before. UL's coaching staff respects what they saw from both teams on film. Both teams have good personnel, and both teams have identities in all three phases of the game. Napier is indifferent than just about any other coach he's ever gotten behind a microphone to analyze an upcoming matchup. It's only natural to compliment the opponent. It's up to us to read between the lines and mark any distinctions. Upon hearing the familiar description, the first reaction for some Cajun fans will likely be, yeah, right. That's what you said last week. Strike up the man. And indeed, that may end up being the case in Saturday's 11 a.m. homecoming game, Sun Belt West showdown between the Red Wolves, who are 3-4 in the regular season and 1-3 in the division, and the Cajuns, who are 5-1 and 3-1 in their division at Cajun Field. Time will reveal that, but one thing is for sure: Arkansas State and Texas State aren't exactly the same animal. The Bobcats are trying to build something. Texas State hasn't had a winning season since 2014 and hasn't won more than 3 games in any season during that drought. Arkansas State, meanwhile, has played in 9 straight bowl games. Of those 9 winning seasons, 7 of them have been at least 8-win seasons. Moreover, there's recent history of the Red Wolves finishing stronger. They were 3-4 last year before finishing 8-5 and 3-3 in 2018, only to end up 8-5. They've always done a really good job over there under Blake Anderson, and he'll have his team ready to play, Napier said. Truthfully, Arkansas State figuring things out shouldn't shock anyone. With that said, the 2020 Red Wolves season has been a bit tricky to explain. Early on, the Red Wolves were struggling mightily on defense. Consequently, they fired 2 assistant coaches, including the coordinator, after the 59-52 win over Georgia State on October 15th. Only in the 2 games since then, the points allowed have gone down slightly, while Arkansas State's points scored column has declined drastically. I think they're really close, Napier said. I think that's what's important for us to understand. They've got an opportunity to make some of those plays, and they don't make them in the game. Anderson's frustration with the recent slump is obvious. We didn't hit those 50-50 balls this week in a 38-10 home loss to Troy, and those really haven't been 50-50 balls for us in the past. They've been way more in our favor, he said. That's where the points and the explosive plays have come from. We've struggled with that the last couple of weeks. The running game's not clicking, and you're not running it the way you want, and you're not hitting the explosive throw that we were getting earlier throughout the course of the season, and you find yourself really, really frustrated. So while the Red Wolves are finding themselves offensively, shouldn't surprise anyone. The statistics say Arkansas State's defense is even worse than Texas State's numbers on that side, giving up 40.2 points and 544 total yards per game. Only Anderson actually saw progress on that until last week. I'm really proud of defense, Anderson. They responded at halftime and came out and played maybe the 25 best minutes of football we've played defensively in quite a while. To hold Troy to 127 yards and no points going into the last 5 minutes of the game, where we gave up a non-offensive touchdown and put the game away. It wasn't until that they gave up a late score with 25 seconds on the clock. We're going to build on that. We're going to find some confidence from that and how we played on defense. The biggest problem for Arkansas State's defense is it might be facing UL's offense at the wrong time. Cajuns have made progress at wide receiver and the offensive line recently to the tune of 31 first downs and 614 total yards, despite a season-high 4 touchdowns in last week's 44-34 win in Texas State. We obviously can't afford to keep losing games in conference play and expect to ever win a championship, Anderson said. We know on our side of the division, Lafayette has represented us the last 2 years, so if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and that's our approach this week. Come Saturday afternoon, Napier would certainly be rather be called a sandbagger than a prophet. Sanders eager to get back on field. Saints right wing slept and binged Netflix during COVID recovery by Luke Johnson, staff writer. 2 weeks after he learned he tested positive for COVID-19, New Orleans Saints wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders is back on a practice field and feeling a little bit more like himself. He is on track to play Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after missing the last 2 games while in the NFL's COVID-19 protocol. Earlier this week, the Saints took him off the reserve COVID list. Thursday, he felt like he found his groove after spending the last couple of days ramping up toward full speed. He anticipates staying on that forward track, getting incrementally better until it's game time. But for a while there, before he recovered and was readmitted to the Saints facility, Sanchez was concerned. When you hear you've got COVID, you kind of cross your fingers, right? Sanders said Thursday. You don't know how your body's going to react, right? You might think you may know, but still there's that little voice at the back of your head that says, well, what if it doesn't? Sanders first felt symptoms on Thursday, October 22nd. By the next day, he had a fever of 102 degrees. He sent his kids and his mother-in-law, who tested negative, back to Denver on a private plane and quarantined at home with his wife, who also tested positive. For 3 days, I had a fever all day, Sanders said, so I literally just laid in bed and slept. That was the condition he was in when the Saints beat the Carolina Panthers without him in Week 7. His fever cleared and he started to turn the corner, believing that he would make a full recovery. But then he was faced with a different sort of problem. Since Sanders was symptomatic, he had to spend a minimum of 10 days away from the team, and he needed to be symptom-free for at least 72 hours. He returned to the squad Monday, 11 days after initially testing positive. That left about 6 days for Sanders to figure out what to do with himself while keeping himself isolated in his home, a highly regular concept for a professional football player in the midst of the season. It's now 5:55 a.m. Usually at this point in time, our audio version of the broadcast cuts off at our TV stations if you listen to our broadcast that way. If you want to continue listening to our broadcast, you can go to our online streaming station, which is Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Street Radio. Go to your browser, punch in Cypress Street Radio, go to the homepage, click on the play button, or you can go to our YouTube station, which is AOC Community Media. And I will continue to read sports stories because I have this and another sports stories before the hour. He did push-ups and sit-ups and swam in his pool to try to keep up his fitness without overexerting himself. He read Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. Like so many others in this pandemic, he binged shows on Netflix. I started a show called Schitt's Creek and finished that in like 3 days, Sanders said. Thank God I had that show because it entertained me. Sanders is one of 3 Saints players who have missed time this season while on the reserve COVID list. Running back Dwayne Washington missed the first 2 weeks of the season, and defensive back Ken Crawley joined Sanders in sitting out the Carolina game as a result of the team's contact tracing after Sanders' positive test. Lafayette High Southside returned for 3-5A showdown. Sharks, Lions, and Meat after last week's storm-nicked games by Nick Fontenot, contributing writer. With the Southside and Lafayette High School games being canceled last week because of Hurricane Zeta, the Shark and Lions are eager to get back onto the field. Southside coach Josh Fontenot tried to schedule games against 2 different opponents last week. Landry, which canceled early Thursday, and then Southwood, was trying to get a game scheduled Saturday but couldn't make it happen. Until the Southwood game got canceled, we prepared like we were going to play a football game, Fontenot said. We handled it like a game week because we thought we had a game up until the last minute. Boys had Friday off in the weekend, and it was a crazy up and down week, but we had a normal week of practice, just didn't get the reward of playing a game on Friday night. Fontenot said the Sharks 2-2 and 1-1 in District 3-5A play. Traded tapes with Southwood last Thursday evening, and the coaches watched film at home, trying to implement an effective game plan for Saturday's game. Like much of 2020, things went sideways again. It was hectic and chaotic, but it fits the year we've had this far, he said. You almost expect the unexpected right now, and we've become immune to getting worked up over things you can't control. We tried to plan as best we could, and we wanted to play, but everything was out of control. Lafayette High's game against South Plaquemines also got canceled because of the storm, leaving both Fontenot and Lafayette coach Cedric Figueroa with an unexpected open date. Fontenot said Lafayette is much improved from last season. We're getting ready for a good Lafayette High team, Fontenot said. Their defense is playing very hard, and they run the ball more than they have in the past. They rely on the quarterback's legs more than just relying on his arm. They have become a hard team to stop. They do things that force you to play discipline if you want to be successful. They also lined up correctly. Cedric Figueroa said the success for Lafayette High, which is undefeated at 4-0 and 3-0, hasn't derailed his team's focus or work ethic. They're down-to-earth kids after all these seniors have been through the last 3 years, he said. It's all about hard work, just putting in the work. They see that we're out there working hard, and they are too. they're getting better through all the hard work. Okay, well, that about wraps it up. There was a lot of news to get through. I hope you tuned in and enjoyed listening to our broadcast this morning. We're able to do this every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Through our AOC TV stations, through Cypress Tree Radio, and our YouTube station, AOC Community Media. We bring this to you local news live with volunteer newspaper readers like myself, with the collaboration of the Acadiana Advocate. We sure appreciate their allowing us to read the stories. You can get the news out there. There are a lot of you out there either visually impaired or that just don't have access to the news cycle, and we're more than happy to provide that service. If you're interested in becoming a newspaper reader volunteer, just go to our website, aocinc.org, and find the volunteer page. Click down, find the form for a newspaper or the local news live or newspaper reader volunteer. Fill out the form, and Miss Mandy will get back in touch with you and hook you up. Right now, since the pandemic is still very viable in the United States, so we're doing all of our broadcasting from our home studios, which I have been doing for the last 7 months or so. Eventually, we'll get back, and once AOC opens up, we can get back into their facilities and use their wonderful podcast booth. But for now, this is the way it has to be. So as always, I say this is Bruce Cohen, has always been Bruce Cohen. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. I want you to be safe out there, be healthy, and be smart. Continue to be smart. Wear your mask. Do everything we've been doing for the last 8 months. Just stop the spread. Things are getting a little bit better in Louisiana than they are in other parts of the country as far as COVID goes, but we could still spike. So just be safe out there. Just do those little things like wear a mask, not a big deal. And please take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. And I will see you on the flip-flop. More than likely, I will see you